Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Not a Boring Real Estate Podcast. We're your hosts, Ryan Domas.
I'm Diego Vasquez.
And we are here with our very special guest today.
We have Zulma Arizmendi. Did I say that right?
You said that beautifully.
And Lina King.
Oh, I love that.
Who are good friends of ours. We pulled them from NAHREP, which is the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals. Say that 5 times fast. I'm not sure you could. That's how I met them. But these girls have been friends for a while.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so we're going to go over everything we possibly can. Remember, this show is to help educate people who don't know anything about real estate, right? To educate realtors who think they know a lot about real estate.
Or just have fun and listen and drink and party and enjoy yourself.
That's what we're here to do.
That's what we're here.
Cheers.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Thank you so much for coming on. Let's see if we could reach with these jackets over here. You know how that goes.
Yes.
I'm going to rip my jacket just reaching over.
So tell us, how do you know each other?
Well, we met in this industry, this crazy, amazing business. I was just getting started in the NAHD world, and you were...
I was actually working for an escrow company at the time.
Okay.
So we were just talking about this back in,
It must be 7 or 8 years ago.
yeah, like 2015 or 16.
Yeah.
OCAR used to do a big like summer palooza like out at one of the parks in Irvine.
Yes.
And I was walking by, it was a really cool, I'm bummed they don't do it anymore. It was a really cool like summer, like a fair. And I was walking by this booth and this beautiful girl pulls me and says, "Hey, you're friends with my friend BB, and she talks about you all the time." And so that's how we met.
Yeah, she's a doll, and here we are.
Oh,
So,
I love it. So you are a realtor. Who are you with?
Keller Williams OC Coastal.
Oh, yeah. And you are with...
I am with MyNHD, your natural hazard disclosure company.
Oh, I love it.
So
What does NHD mean?
It means natural hazard disclosures. Did you know that you have to, the seller needs to make certain disclosures to the buyer, and the buyer needs to know this information for their own due diligence. So you have to disclose earthquake zones, flood zones, and fire zones, and a lot of other things. If there's been loss of life or loss of property, it's in our report.
Do they tell you if they voted for Trump or Biden? Do they tell you who's a Dodgers or an Angels fan?
Yeah, no,
or
yeah.
who the Raiders fan is? Okay.
Yeah, that kind of we keep private because we don't want to kill any deals.
I like that.
speaking of kill, so they do have to tell you if someone's been murdered or...
No, in the event of a natural disaster, like there was one where 2 girls were killed because landmines. Did you know there's about 2,000 abandoned landmines in the state of California? And there were 2 little girls outside playing, and they got blown up by abandoned landmines. So
Oh
guess
my-
what? It's in our report now.
Oh my
Whoa.
God.
Yeah.
Do you remember do you remember a year like when this happened?
I don't, but it was probably like 20 years ago.
In what county?
I'm not sure. Not LA County. I think it was more up north.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about landmines, but I know a couple grenades that Ryan's taken down.
Yeah.
Gotta
Yeah.
take one for the team, man.
Well, if you think about all the military sites, yeah.
That could have bombed so
Yeah.
bad. I was like, okay.
So we're going to talk about real estate, but I want to talk about, you have a ghost story for us.
Yes. My mom was recently in the hospital, and she said she saw a bunch of little children in her room. And I was talking to one of the nurses, and she said, yes, a lot of the patients here claim to see a bunch of little children. And this is at French Park in Santa Ana, and it's like the oldest hospital in Orange County and in Santa Ana. So yes.
So they're French children.
Yeah, they're French children.
Yeah.
And apparently you have to be a witch to see them. And both Zulma and I have seen the children, so I guess we're witches.
Oh, I guess
Whoa.
so.
Okay. Because sometimes they say, like in those movies, they say like if you hear kids' voices, it's not necessarily a dead kid. It's like a demon pretending to be a kid. So it's like, oh, come play with me. That kind of weird shit. So
Yeah.
Zulma, you got any stories?
I do, but as somebody that listens to a lot of those kinds of podcasts in my car, you'll know if it's a demon if there's a foul smell. If not, it's just spirits.
Well, there's
nice.
a foul smell
Yeah.
in that hospital, for sure.
I'm sure.
So that's my education I receive in my car when I'm listening to
Zulma,
podcasts.
you and like every other female on this planet is just into like, murder doc, serial killer.
True crime. Yeah, absolutely.
You girls are nuts.
But yes, my one ghost story was when I was a kid and I was growing up in Alhambra. I used to share a room with my twin sister, and for whatever reason, I was always afraid of the dark in this room. And one time my grandmother and my aunt came to visit us from Mexico. So my sister and I had to share a bed. And then my aunt and my grandmother slept in the room with us. And in the middle of the night, I woke up, and my dad used to come and check on us. So I woke up and I saw something standing in the doorway. And it was like a silhouette of a man. And I just saw that looking at me. And it felt weird. And I was like, Dad, is that you? And didn't say anything. And I said it again, Dad, is that you? And I'm like, didn't say anything. So then I just closed my eyes and I kept opening them and it was still standing there. And so I just shut my eyes and I was like, I'm going to force myself to go to sleep. So the next morning I'm talking to my sister about it and same thing. She called out to it, didn't hear anything. So then I'm telling my parents about it and my grandma walks in and she's like, oh yeah, that was your grandfather.
Whoa. I got chills.
Wow.
I got chills from that one.
That's cool.
You have the gift.
I have the gift. I know.
Or the curse. Dun,
Yeah.
dun.
Dude, do you have any ghost stories?
Do I have any ghost stories? So the first one that pops into mind, I have two. So first one that pops into mind is one of my good friends in high school. I would always go to his place like after school, and we would just hang out there. And he had like a really cool garage with like pool table, the whole deal. So we would always that's where we'd hang out. So I come to find out that someone had actually committed suicide in that garage. It's in Anaheim. It's one of the historic homes in Anaheim, like in between Harbor and like Anaheim Boulevard. Mm-hmm. So those are very historic homes. And so, someone hanged themselves. I don't know if you're supposed to say hung or hanged. I think it's hanged.
Yeah.
So they hanged themselves there. And so I had already known this for years. Nothing crazy, right? Well, one night we're all hanging out, we're partying, and I'm like, I go to pee like in the bushes, and I just hear. I'm like, I don't see anything here. I'm like trying to hurry up. I'm like, wow. And it's like, I'm like, it took off.
Oh man.
That was literally there was nothing around me. Like I could see everything in plain sight. I just heard those footsteps were coming towards me, and I'm like, I'm out of here. I'm good. I'm good.
Oh man.
The other story might be a little long, but it's definitely I don't know why every time I go to Mexico, especially in the small town where my family's from, I was so scared of the dark. I was like praying. I'm like, God, please just don't let whatever it is get me. It's I feel like there are spirits in certain places.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
I agree. So I'll tell you my ghost story that actually involves real estate. We had a listing, and this listing they said, years ago, family killed another family member. We're like, all right, and they said you can feel something when you walk in there, and I was a big fan of Ghostbusters growing up, so I'm like, I'm all about it. Yeah. Let's go. So I open the door and I walk into this very dark house. It's at night, and I'm like, it was perfect. It's dark. I walk in and I thought I walked into like a spider web. I just felt it all over me, like whoa, 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 whoa. Nothing. And then I'm walking and I'm just putting flyers in the house, set for the open house the next day. I'm putting flyers on the kitchen counter, and then I see that there's a light on down on the other side of the hallway. It's the master bedroom. The light's on and the fan's going. Now, I remember walking into the house with my flashlight because I couldn't get any of the lights to work. But in the back room, the light was on. Mm-hmm. And so I, called the seller and I said, hey, I can't get the fan and your master bedroom light to turn off. And he goes, listen, we shut off the power. That's why we wanted you to do an open house during the day, because we can't turn the lights on because we've got a lot of weird electrical stuff going on. So throughout the entire open house the following day, fan was on, light was on, but nothing else in the house worked. It was creepy.
And the power was out.
Yes. And then the buyer's agent of who purchased that home told us that she had issues where she thought that a man was following her in and out of that house. Oh. And one night she woke up screaming, and her husband told us the story. Oh. Like, hey, dude, that whole thing about the house is absolutely true. So believe in that stuff, because
I believe in it 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She needs a priest to go get a cleansing.
That's what they did. And they said they no longer have any issues,
one.
which is fantastic, because they did that.
He was stuck. He needed to go home. Yeah. Go to the light.
Yes.
Go to the light.
Go to the light.
Go to the light.
Power of Christ compels you.
Yeah.
So funny.
I like that it's a ghost story real estate podcast going on because we're not boring, folks. We got to spice it up a little bit. Speaking of which, we made some margaritas with Casamigos. We got this here today.
Thanks, buddy.
Of course.
Great bartender.
Oh, thanks.
Right.
I try to do my thing. But let's get back into it. Zulma,
Yes.
how did you get into this business?
Through Match.com.
Through Match. Well, wait, hold on, because I heard you say something about escrow, and then you moved over. But so just give us the whole rundown.
So in 2004, I met my ex-husband, my now ex-husband, and he worked for Remax. And so within like 6 months, he had me as his listing coordinator, his transaction coordinator, and then I was licensed in 2005, and then in 2006, we purchased our own Remax franchise in the city of Orange. I started our in-house escrow, and so when we became, in 2008, we became a big REO office. I think we ranked like number 17 at one point in Orange County. So in 2011 or 2012 is when we shut down. So I went to go work for escrow after that because I had the escrow experience.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Right on.
So Match.com.
But this all happened because I met him through Match.com.
Oh, okay. You should tell Match.com about that. They're going to start advertising the realtors. I'll tell you.
Most people are stuck on Bumble and Tinder. I think Match.com is the actual one for grown-ups.
That was, you know what's funny is back
Ryan.
then, everyone was like, you shouldn't tell people that story because that's only desperate people do that. And it was funny because I met this much older realtor and she's like, girlfriend, she's like, you have it easy. She's like, back in my day, she's like, if we wanted to meet somebody online, we met them through AOL.
Oh,
Yeah, Messenger.
That was the original one. And she's like, and people were like, oh, are you desperate? And I was like, I still get that.
Yeah.
Like, people were like, you met on Match.com, you must be desperate. I'm like, now I feel like, I haven't been on a dating site since Match.com, but I feel like it's more acceptable now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back in my day, it was the party line.
the party. Hey, girl.
It was like, so the party line, for those of you who don't know what the party line is, it was like Foos Gone Wild before social media. Right? So it was every one of your Cholo cousins all on the phone at one time. And it was a fun place to call. I don't know who invented that thing, but whoever you are, I'd love to have you on the podcast to find out what gave you the idea to get all the Cholos in Santa Ana and surrounding cities on the same phone call at one time.
At one time.
We applaud you.
Isn't it like
That's funny.
Is it like 40 guys and one girl?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, ooh, you want to be my hyena?
Oh my God. I have never heard of this show. I want to hear this show.
Oh my God. Yeah. So it was literally like, so do you remember how you could like patch in and it was like 5 of your friends all on one phone call? What was the?
Yeah, party line or?
Well, so like, let's just say like, I don't know, when I was younger, like me and my friends, we would just all call each other and we'd be like on the phone, probably running up the phone bill, right?
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
For those of you who don't know, you used to run up the phone bill,
Yeah.
and then you get in trouble with your parents because they'd be like, what the hell are you doing on the phone this long?
You're out of
Right.
minutes.
You're out
no
of
more
minutes.
No more minutes.
So yeah, we would call this line, it was called the party line, and it would patch you in to a room of 20, 30 people all on the phone just talking at once.
I never did this.
I do remember my daughters doing that.
Oh, did they?
Yes.
And
I
it was
do.
like, it was one of those things where like every single Cholo that is now on Foos Gone Wild. Do you know what Foos Gone Wild is?
No, I don't.
Oh, Zulma. All right, we got it.
And was it a prerequisite to be a Cholo to be on this party line?
Essentially, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would not be welcome. They'd be like,
Okay.
oh.
They'd be like, oh, Twinkle Toes, Wonder Bread. They would love Ryan on the party line. He's a hello, fellow Mexicans. How are you?
Orderly.
Yeah, Orale. Yeah.
Veto. Hey,
Veto.
Orderly Veto.
Smoke the Scante.
Yeah.
Scante Warrior.
Some jalapenos.
Yeah, buddy. So, party line, Zulma, we got to teach you about this stuff. Foos Gone Wild has already taken the world by storm.
Yeah, it's a very comedic social media page that makes fun of that whole culture, and it's hilarious.
Have
And-
you ever heard that DJ that back in the days, like you would listen to him, like it was on some AM station, but he
Art LeBeau.
Yes, Art LeBeau.
and
Yes.
he
I
dedicates
do
to
remember
people
that.
like in jail, and
Yeah.
it's I just listen to him for the dedications because it's the funniest thing, and like
Oh, yeah.
you know.
This is from Little Spider
Yeah.
to his Hyena for life. La little loca. And he loves you forever. Wait for him. He will be out in 20 years to life.
Yeah. Wait for him.
Wait for him. I will wait for you.
And it's always a slow song.
Yeah.
You're like this.
It's just some freaking so
He's awesome.
he was awesome. I think he just passed
Oh, did he
recently.
pass away?
Yeah.
Okay.
R.I.P. Art LeBeau.
Yeah, he just passed away.
We love you in the
R.I.P., man.
Chicano culture.
Of course, Diego would know that.
Of course I know.
But I loved
You
him.
can take the kid out of the hood. You can't take
Right?
the hood out of the kid.
That's right.
I was born in East Los Angeles, FYI.
Oh, yeah.
Poor thing.
Yeah.
Lina.
Yes.
So, what got you into NHD?
Well, I started off as a title rep for First American. I was a title rep for 10 years.
Wow.
And then I took 15 years off to raise my daughters. I have 3 daughters, and they're all college
Beautiful daughters.
graduates. They're about your age.
Ryan?
And yeah, Hey, Ryan, no, they're all taken. Yeah, and then I had to, when my youngest daughter graduated, they went to Chapman University. When she graduated college, it was time for me to go back to work. So, because I was divorced, obviously, and I did not want to go back into title. And then we heard about NHD. They in 1992, I think it became a law to have an NHD report part of every single transaction. So I had a friend that hooked me up with the owner of MyNHD, and we met, and I got a job, and that was about 8 years ago.
Sure, they just took one look at you. They're like, "You got the job. You're
Right.
awesome. You're so personable. You're so friendly. Like,
Aw,
And beautiful.
aw,
Yep.
and a grandmother, you know.
Yeah.
could have fooled us."
Yep, totally.
So, like, what? Like, again, our viewers, they don't know a lot of this stuff, and that's what I want to do. Is I want to try to show it to them, not shove it down their throat, because
Yeah.
it can get boring.
Yeah.
Yeah, but let's make it fun.
So, like, what the heck is NHD?
Okay, it's a natural hazard disclosure. So in the past, buyers and sellers were asking, hey, is this house in a flood zone or is it in a fire zone? And agents were making those determinations incorrectly, and there were lawsuits. They wouldn't check the box, or they'd leave it unchecked. They'd say yes, no, or I don't know, and then there are lawsuits because it affects your insurance. And we are a third-party company that provides you with this information, because you can go and get this information yourself. But who has the time for that?
No.
So we're a third-party company. It's $74.95 for a report. If you don't close, you don't pay. And you're guaranteed, because you are buying a insurance policy, a $10 million E&O, in case the information is wrong, and it covers all parties in the transaction.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
Well, so essentially, like, I mean, that's the thing, right? Realtors, it's a lot that you have to handle.
Yeah.
Right, Z? Like, so there's, first off, it's getting the client, getting the lead, converting them, making sure they want to buy this property. And then once you're in there, then you got to worry about making sure that the property's not like falling apart. You got to get the inspector. You have to educate them on so many different levels. Then there's paperwork. And it's like, that's why we have a team, right? You have to hire a TC, you have to get the NHD, you have to get inspectors. Like, there's so many moving parts that people just, like, when they're leaving everything to one person, to one realtor,
Right.
to handle like so many different facets, people get sued.
Yes. And so who usually pays for the NHD, would you say?
It's always the seller. I mean, everything's negotiable, but it is the seller's responsibility to pay for the NHD report. And it's the listings agent's responsibility to order the NHD report.
I love it.
You should order it at a time of listing. If you have a listing right now, you should already have that NHD report. You should know if it's in any of those zones, and if there's any questions or anything that needs to be addressed. Right now, fire zones are kind of a big issue.
Yeah. And there's flood zones, right? That can
Flood
that,
zones.
that people don't see necessarily.
There's 2 kinds of flood zones on an NHD report, one due to heavy rain and one due to dam failure. And one will trigger flood insurance. The lender's going to require flood insurance if it's in the heavy rain, because it's all mapped out where the water's going to flow. So, but if a dam fails in the middle of, say, an earthquake or a natural hazard disaster, that water is also mapped out on where it's going to go. But the lender doesn't care where that water's going. He just wants his money on rain, not the. So yeah. So 2 flood zones. One's going to ruin your hair, and the other one's going to mess up your shoes. That's how I remember it.
That's a good way to remember it.
Yeah, that's a good way to remember it. Absolutely.
Right. Okay.
So you all 3 met through what you talked about, NAHREP. Talk a little bit about that.
So Zulma and I met through a failed transaction.
Oh,
Dead.
So
it didn't even go through.
It didn't
And
go
you're
through.
still friends?
And we're still friends.
I love that.
Cheers, Zulma.
Cheers.
Cheers. Because
Cheers.
oh my God, like Zulma was so cool. Let me take a sip because you're supposed to look each other in the eye.
Yes,
That's right.
It's a German thing, I think.
The German thing.
Or
but
Russian.
Zulma said this. And I quote Zulma. 7 years of bad sex?
Yeah.
Yes.
If you don't look him in the eye.
No.
Yes.
Better keep that eye contact.
Better
I
keep
give
that
up.
eye contact. Yeah.
I give up.
Lena's like,
Yeah. I close my eyes when I.
So I met Zulma through a failed transaction. I was a listing agent, and we had trusted the wrong buyer. They backed out for XYZ, and I'm like, Zulma, you're next in line. But you were helping out someone who they had a specific type of loan.
that buyer I wrote 28 offers for.
Whoa. Oh, those are the fun ones, right?
We're going
Not.
we have to segue a little bit because that really happened. So in these last 2 years prior to the market cooling down, agents, especially buyers agents, went through hell. I was not lucky enough to have to write 28 offers.
He's the only one I did that for, but yeah.
But this did happen to a lot of people, and think about it. A lot of buyers agents, they already left the market because of that. You were thriving in this market, and you had to write 28 offers. So just take me through that a little bit for him specifically.
So it was funny because at the time I was a Zillow agent, so I was getting a lot of online leads. He actually was a referral from a lender.
Okay.
So my commission split was going to be way better on that one. So I was like, I'm really going to focus on this guy.
And you want to do your lenders right.
Absolutely, absolutely. But we had a conversation over the phone. He was really forthcoming. He was doing, I think, a 3% conventional is what he was going to do. And which was great because he only qualified for a condo, and most condos in California or Orange County are not FHA approved. Mm-hmm. So it was great that he was going to do the 3% conventional. But he only had like $12,000 when we started.
Yes.
In savings. So that was the part that was killing him, is nobody wanted to accept his offer because they were afraid of the appraisal gap and that he wouldn't have the money for that.
Yeah. And why would they? They had 30 offers to one house or condo, right? So that's what happened to us. Right. And so, and when I approached my seller, I said, hey, listen, so I got this one. I really like the agent. I trust her. Like, I know it's this type of program. It's a good offer. I think we should take it. At that moment, I get literally an offer comes in, and of course, as an agent, you're supposed to show all offers.
Right.
This one was a lot higher, and I was like, "Damn!" And he's like, "Well, I want more money."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I reached out to Zulma, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm sorry, like, dude, like, I trust me, I would love to, like, you're awesome." Like, we had kind of hit it off on the phone.
You know what? It was great because so this was during the time where listing agents were not answering their phones. Diego would always answer the phone.
Of
course. I thought it was really cool. He'd always answer the phone, and he was always funny. Like, if you did get a listing agent that called you back, they weren't nice. Mm-hmm. And Diego was funny. He'd always answer the phone. I was like, I really hope this works out. But I think at one point in one of our conversations, you were like, I think the property was appraising for like $5,000. There was an issue with the appraisal, but the seller wanted that $5,000.
Exactly.
Even though the property wasn't going to appraise for that amount. Mm-hmm. So my client was going to have to come in with that. But I mean, lucky number 28 is the property that my client.
You got it done.
I got it done.
Z got it done.
Yes.
That shows a lot of character and just how awesome of a person you are. And so we hit it off, and then later she contacts me.
Yeah, and then I was the vice president for NAHREP at the time, the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals. I knew in the incoming year I was going to be president, and so I said, let me reach out to Diego. He's obviously Hispanic. So we talked a little bit about it. It took some persuading.
I called Ryan. Do you remember when I called
you're
him?
like, who what's NAHREP? And I was like, oh, dude, that's a prestigious thing.
You're
like, what?
Ryan was the reason I said yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, what is this? Like, what is she trying to sign me up for?
Yes.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard about it at the time. Again, like I come from a loan background where I didn't need to deal with anybody because I was just
Right.
refi. All those realtors that were only doing refis, where are they at now?
No.
Right? They're all everybody's focused on purchase business now, and
Right.
for good reason. Refis are dead.
Yeah.
Right.
And Lina and I had been on the board for a while, but I was like, we need to get some younger people, some young hip people. So I was like, Diego's perfect.
Yes.
So, yeah.
We're filming a freaking podcast. How young and hip can you get? But thanks to Ryan, because he was like, no, dude, you said something along the lines of like, I should be freaking thankful that you're even offering.
Yes, I literally did. I was like, this is an honor.
It's
dude.
an honor.
Take
It's an
it.
honor.
Right?
Take it.
Yeah.
If people think that you could be a leader.
It's a good
So
nice
thank Ryan.
Yeah, because that's
Yeah.
the thing. To be on the board, you have to get voted in.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to tell the rest of the board about you and get them to vote you in.
And they did.
Yep.
And they did.
And for you listeners out there that watched previous episodes, that's how we ended up in San Diego. That was the NAHREP event, Latitude.
Yeah.
So that's how I met Zulma and Gator, her man. Yeah. And then we had a great Day of the Dead bash at the Keller Williams office, and here comes Lina King. Oh my God, she was the hit of the party. We were slinging tequila shots. Oh my God, that was some really good tequila, by the way.
That was
Yeah,
really
it
good
was.
tequila.
Yeah.
What was the
Los-
name of that tequila?
Los Sundays, and they're here in Costa Mesa, and they carry it at High Times.
I think that's a band as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know about
Sundays.
that?
No.
I don't know about that.
There's like a whole oldies revival going on right
Okay.
now. So it's like people my age singing oldies.
Yeah.
And there's a band called Los Sundays. But please continue.
Okay, yeah. So I was at a real estate event, and they had a tequila tasting, and when we were talking about doing Day of the Dead for NAHREP, I was like, oh my gosh, I want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah,
So
that's
I contacted them. They hooked me up with all the swag and the alcohol, and it was a good time.
It was a hit.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
met a lot of people. It was a great opportunity for us too.
Lina, you really showed up for that event. I really
Yeah,
appreciate that because
yeah.
you rocked it for that event.
You did.
Thank
You were the hit. Everybody was like, "Oh my God,
thank you.
the tequila lady was the best." It was like,
Yeah, I
"Yeah."
love it. Thank you. Well,
Yeah.
I want to be part
Somebody
of
said
your
the
team.
tequila girl.
All right, we've talked about some good stuff so far. We're here hanging out. Let's gossip a little bit. Why do certain real estate agents suck? Like, give us an example of something that they put you through that made your day worse.
Oh gosh, I'm reaching into the archives for this one.
Zulma, this is you are in the circle. This is
This is
judgment
old.
free
This
zone.
is like from 2006. So I had a listing out in Moreno Valley. So this was at a time where like there were 17 properties for sale on this one street, and I had a new listing. I put it on the market like on a Thursday, and my sign didn't go put on the property until Saturday. I faxed my request.
faxed
This was
it.
2006.
Yeah.
So I faxed my request to my sign company to put the sign up, and he calls me and says, your sign's going to go up on Saturday evening. So I get an agent that comes over to my property. She checks it out. She submits an offer the next day. I got multiple offers on this property. It was 2006. So anyhow, it was pulling teeth trying to get disclosures back from this agent. So my seller was flying back and forth from Florida to sell this property. The day of the final walkthrough, I go to the property because I need to get signatures from this other agent. I had to call her and harass her every day for disclosures. So I show up at the final walkthrough, and we're waiting 30 minutes into it. I'm just like, where is this agent? So I call her, and she says, I'm at the property right now. And I'm like, you're not at the property. I'm here at the property with the seller. She goes, well, I'm at the property too. She goes, maybe you don't see me because I'm at the back in the pool. I'm like, the house doesn't have a pool. Oh, and she's like, yeah, I'm at and so this whole conversation is taking place in Spanish. So I'm like, you know what? Do me a favor. Step outside the house right now. So I stepped out the front door, and the house next door, I see a woman step out, and it's the agent.
She's not even at the right house.
She wasn't at the right house. And so my listing was like 1,300 square feet, like 3 bedrooms. It had a very small yard. The house next door was like 2,400 square feet, 4 bedrooms with a pool. These people thought I forgot the sales price was 2006,
God.
but they thought they were getting
This mega mansion.
Was that house even for sale though? The one that they walked into?
It was for sale.
And so that's why so the person that showed the property was an unlicensed agent.
Oh.
So back then,
You don't do that
You used
one.
to have that happen a lot in Santa Ana.
Calling them out.
That's what it happened.
Calling them out.
It used to happen a lot in Santa Ana. So I had found out during the course of the transaction, the agent that I was dealing with he never even saw the property. So
Yeah.
I think a lot of that happened. That's why the Avid was born after that. So the couple comes over, and so we're like figuring out like this whole time these people thought they were in escrow for that house when they were actually in escrow with us.
The entire time.
Good
The entire
Lord.
time.
Whoa.
Yeah, and the agent, she couldn't speak English. She couldn't read English. She was an unlicensed assistant.
This is hilarious.
And so she's like, she goes, when they showed me the termite report and they showed that the deck had all this termite damage, she goes, in my head, I was trying to picture, where is this deck? The
I
property
didn't even
doesn't
know
have
what
a
that
deck.
was.
Dude.
Yeah.
So you were in escrow.
So we
Crazy.
had to fight with that agent and get him to. So they basically lost their $5,000 deposit.
Of course.
And my poor seller, I felt because I was like, my seller needs. She had to quit her job because her boss was giving her a hard time from flying back and forth from Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to get her that money. We ended up putting her property on the market later, and got it sold and so forth.
Can you imagine if that actually closed escrow and then they showed up and the keys would not fit
Right? Could
in
you
the
imagine
door?
that?
And they're like, wait a
Imagine
minute.
closing
And
escrow on the
what's
wrong
funny?
house.
And so,
Wrong house, dude.
So after that, we had purchased our Remax franchise, and then I needed a new receptionist, and so I hired this girl. And then during the course of the conversation, I was just like, we were talking about all the brokerages that went away after the market crashed. And I was like, yeah, there was this one broker who had a bunch of unlicensed agents, and I forgot the guy's name. And so my new receptionist looks at me and says, I worked for that guy. I'm like, you did? And then I I was thinking about her name. I'm like, wait, you're the girl that I used to call all the time asking for the disclosures, and you were always really nasty to me. But now you work for me.
Oh
my God.
What
There
a
is a
way to
God.
end that one.
There is a God.
How did
There is
that
a
come
God.
around
Yeah.
full circle?
Right?
You're fired.
You're fired.
You're fired. That's hilarious.
Dude.
Okay, Lina,
That is crazy.
give us an example of a real estate agent not doing the right thing.
You know what? My agents have been really wonderful, And as far as NHD, I remember one agent getting upset because they canceled because they didn't like what they saw, on the NHD report. And that happens a lot. That's why it's important to get that NHD report into the buyer's hands because there's a 3-day right to rescind. 3 days if you deliver it by hand, 5 days if you deliver it electronically. And they can back out or use it as an excuse to back out of the deal if they get cold feet or, they say they don't want to be, in a flood zone or they're paying more insurance or a fire zone or something like that.
Okay.
Or, something environmental because we have to disclose anything within a mile of that property. So that could affect that home. And they could use that as an excuse, whether they don't like airplanes flying over their home or, there's a dry cleaner down the street with toxic chemicals.
Wow.
It could get tricky.
You're giving me reasons to actually read the NHD report.
I know.
Yeah.
I know, right?
And that's a really good point because
Yeah.
come on, like I'm guilty of not reading it once in a while.
Picture this.
Yeah.
Ryan is the agent's agent. Like every time I've seen Ryan do a deal, it is like how it's supposed to be done. It's the industry standard.
Thanks.
And even you haven't read the NHD report.
I know. He's got me. He doesn't need to. He just called me.
No, exactly. Then
Yeah.
thankfully we're able to, stand on the shoulders of giants. We're able to
Oh yeah. Good way to put that.
I
Wow.
love that.
I like that.
and no, we rely on a lot of people to help us out. So it's good to, for realtors out there, make sure that people you're relying on are reliable.
Yeah.
That might help out.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
big time. And you know what? I just have to say, thanks for hanging out with us, first of all, because we've had nothing but dudes on this show. It has been a sausage fest from the beginning to the end. Thank you for mixing it up a little bit, please.
Yeah, we got two of them
Yeah,
on
we
this
actually
time,
know
right?
women, folks. This there we go. And you don't get much better than Lina and Zulma. I mean, we got the dynamic duo of lovely real estate professionals in here.
So going back to NAHREP, so how did you each get into NAHREP? Zulma first.
Lina actually.
Oh,
Okay.
So it was.
I did. Someone
Yeah.
asked me to ask you.
Yeah. So I was at an event. I can't remember what year it was, but
Yami.
Yami was
Yami's
president.
yes.
Yami was president.
Yeah.
So I know. I always have to go by president.
I know.
Because I
What
can't
year?
remember the year.
Did you say Yao Ming?
Yami Martinez.
Okay,
Hi,
because
Yami.
that was a
We're
7
so
foot.
Hi,
Hi, Yami.
Yeah.
Hi,
Love
Yami.
you.
We love you.
And so can you tell the viewers what NAHREP is and then what attracted you to it?
Oh my gosh, on the spot. Okay. So then we already said it's the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals. There's like 40 chapters across the U.S. And it was started by Gary Acosta like 22 years ago.
Yep.
And it's to educate the professionals that sell to Hispanic homeowners and buyers to increase home ownership among Hispanics.
Love the answer. That's a good answer.
The best answer I've heard is somebody at that conference said, this is all about the regeneration of wealth and expanding that
Correct.
wealth.
Yes.
And I thought that was such a good way to put it. Like, don't let the money stay in a few hands. Like, spread the wealth.
Yep.
Generational
Oh,
wealth.
yeah.
They,
Some of
they
the-
are big on generational.
Yeah.
Some of the numbers that they've pulled out, I'm talking about like, I think they said 55% of new home ownership was Hispanic. And then just
And they're millennials now. They're
Yes.
like the last few numbers, they're millennials. Yeah.
So yes, there's a lot of Latinos buying homes. What did I say when I was in San Clemente? I was like, so that means that more Mexicans are moving to San Clemente. You should have seen the faces drop. They're like,
At the broker tour. This was at
broker
the
tour.
San
It was, like,
Clemente
all
broker tour.
Trump supporters, and they were just like,
Really?
"What? Mexicans are coming to San Clemente?" I swear, somebody
Did they all run out the door?
So we had a mild heart attack, and they were just like, and I was like, hopefully the good ones. I don't know. And I just like walked out. They're just like, what?
How's that wall working for you?
Yeah. So yeah, build bridges, not walls.
Yeah.
Zulma, so you gave us a really good definition of what they do. So what attracted you to her, or what made you go, yeah, I'm down?
Primarily because nobody ever thinks I'm Hispanic.
It's true.
It's true.
You mean you're not like Persian or something?
What?
Yeah.
Right. Everyone thinks
Yeah.
I'm
You're
And
not
your last name's
Armenian?
Arizmendi.
You're not
I know.
Armenian. What are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody always thinks, and I know. And then my name's Zulma Arizmendi, which Arizmendi is actually Basque, which is in the
Spanish, Basque region.
Spanish Basque region. So,
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what brought you to
So
it.
that's what, yeah, I was like, because I always feel like I have to prove to people that I'm Hispanic. And then my Spanish isn't great. Every year I'm like, this is the year it's going to get better. So this year, I'm publicly declaring it. It's going to get better this year.
Yeah.
So although it was
We're
my
holding
first
you to
language,
it.
believe it or not.
Yeah.
I have a cousin, same thing. She butchers it, but it was her first language, and she was like, little, Spanish speaking little kid running around, and now she's
Yeah.
like, yo no sabo.
I do try, and like sometimes, like if the other person can actually speak some English, they're like, let's just switch to English.
You're doing a great job,
Yeah.
Lina.
So for me, Yami reached out to me when she was the president. I'm going to say 5 years ago. I think this is my probably 5th year on the board.
So Ricardo was the pandemic president, so Yanni was the president
Poor
in
Ricardo.
2019.
Yes, we love you too,
I
Ricardo.
love you, Ricardo.
But yeah, so Yami, and I started as sponsorship director. I think they had somebody and he wasn't really fulfilling his duties, so they brought me in. And I was really excited because it got me in front of so many agents and so many people, and I'm Hispanic too. I'm from Cuba. And Cubana. Oye, chico, pero ¿qué te pasa?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, coño.
Love it.
Love it.
Yeah. So not only was it great for me and my business and my county, but my company decided to go national, and we are national members of NAHREP. So
Nice.
That is awesome.
Love it.
Oh, I love it.
And now NAHREP is an amazing place where you're able to promote yourself within the Hispanic community, right? The Latino community. Because I feel like there's so many businesses out there, like, I don't care if you're a plumber, if you're a doctor, whoever you are, right? If you were to come to one of our events, you'll notice, like, oh my God, there's so many affluent business owners within this community that you might not have thought before. You thought everybody was just, working at a factory, and they're not. They're business owners, they're realtors, they're lenders, they're doctors, they're lawyers. So it's good to get yourself out amongst these communities. So if you're looking to promote yourself, reach out to myself, Zulma, Lina. We can help you out.
So I don't know if you saw that email that just came out. I think it was yesterday. But so you know how every year NAHREP recognizes the top 250 loan originators, top 250 Hispanic real estate professionals across the country.
Yes.
Now they're recognizing the top 250 Hispanic-owned businesses.
I saw
across
that.
the
I
country.
did see
You
that.
did see that?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So we're out there, and we're killing it. And I think on the last event, I saw there's a Latino-based business developing a really awesome app that's like Mint. Do you know the Mint app where you're able to like save and budget?
Oh, yeah.
It offers you a P&L and stuff like that. Like, dude, it's revolutionary. Like, we're out there, we're gunning for it. Everybody's hungry. And I think if you were to immerse yourself in these places, and especially if you own a business and you were to maybe sponsor an event or something like that, you're going to get yourself out there amongst a lot of people who could really change the trajectory of your business. So that's my little plug, by the way.
Yes.
But moving on.
Yeah. So Zulma,
Yes.
what's working in your business right now? Like, what is working to generate?
So I've just shifted. So I was a Zillow agent. And what I mean by a Zillow agent, I didn't work for Zillow, but I was on a Zillow Flex team. So I just made the switch, as you know, just recently. So now I'm going to start going back to basics, the geo farming.
Yes.
So that's what I'm going to start doing, is that consistently.
Can you tell us about Zillow? And so tell us about the heyday of Zillow and what it was doing for you and other realtors.
So I had a friend that was a broker for a Zillow Flex team, and she had told me about it when 2019 I decided to make the decision to come, because I was an affiliate, and I decided to come back to the world of real estate sales. And she wanted me to go to her company. But as soon as I heard the commission split, I was out the door, because it's 50-50. And so then during of course, late 2019 is when I decided to become an agent. And then what happens the next year? The whole world shuts down.
Yeah.
So staying home was hard. It's hard for anybody that's very social. And when you're in real estate, you're very social. But my friend, Sarah Becerra. Hi, Sarah.
Love her.
Hi, Sarah.
I love you.
Sarah.
But and she's like my birthday sister. So Sarah had gone to work for this broker, and Sarah was out of her house every day showing properties. And so I said, I need to be part of this flex team. I need to be out of my house. I love you, Gator, but I need to be out of the house.
We love you, Gator.
We love
Yes.
you, Gator. But I needed to be out of the house, so I joined their team. And it was, since there were no open houses, it was fast-paced. When you're a Zillow Flex team, you're part of a big team. You're part of a team of an agent who was a Zillow Premier agent who had excellent stats, and now you get to be a Zillow agent under his team. Now, each team operates differently. So what I'm about to say, if you're a Zillow Flex agent, they'll be like, oh, that's not how my team does it. I've been on 3 different Zillow Flex teams. Each team does it differently. But you have a schedule, and whatever date they tell you you're on, you will be on call that day from 8 in the morning till 9 o'clock at night. And so you will get phone calls. Now, during the pandemic, your phone rang and rang and rang. It rang so much that you wanted to throw your phone across the room.
Wow.
And then the whole thing with Zillow is you have to get that caller to see that property that day. So there's this whole thing. It's called ALM. So it's when you talk to him, there's the appointment. Forgot what the L stands for, and then motivation. So that's that. Yeah, but that's the whole thing.
Wow.
I'll tell you, I took somebody to a $27 million listing in Laguna Beach on the water. The home was on the water, $27 million, because I was part of the Zillow program at the time. And you have to show that buyer. Doesn't matter if they're qualified or not. Zillow's like, you better take that buyer out or you're done. So, and then I had to take this guy out, and the whole time he's like, oh yeah, I'm a venture capitalist. And I'm like, oh no. If anybody tells you they're a venture capitalist and they didn't pull up in a Rolls Royce and you didn't see their private jet, just run the other way, because they're full of it. And then I got it. They were on date like number 2 or 3. He brought this girl with him.
Oh, of course.
And she's still asking him like, so they're still like in that first stage of like getting to know each other. And I'm like,
What's your
dude,
favorite color?
Yeah, I was like, wow, you took her to a $27 million showing appointment.
Like he's gonna buy it.
And I was like, okay, cool, man. You want to make an offer? Yeah, I want to make an offer. Cool. I need proof of funds. What's that? I need to just show the seller that you have the money and you're capable of actually buying this. Let me call my stockbroker in New York. And I was like, your stockbroker was like, this guy is like picking up a red brick, like buy, sell. You know, you could tell he was just completely full of it. So yeah, Zillow will make you show homes to buyers that can't buy a piece of gum. So that's the problem with that.
Now there is a flip side, right? Like you can, like there is a good side to it where yes, you're gonna speak to 20, 30 people. Your job is to try to, like, I mean, dude, from 8 to 9 p.m. you said, from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Yeah.
It is rough. So so what I loved about the first Zillow Flex team I was on, you are on. My schedule was like I was on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. Sunday was your heaviest day, and then I went to other teams where they had different schedules. The one that I liked the best was I would take as many phone calls as I could, and then when I needed to be off, I would ask, whoever the team lead is, can you pause me for right now? And so they would pause me and not put me back on until I
somebody else on
requested it.
call.
Yeah, the last team I was on, I did not like their system. You were on for 7 days straight for a whole week, and you could not be paused.
Ooh.
That was brutal. That's by the time the last 2 days came in, and you're finishing your week on a Saturday and Sunday. So those calls that came in, you've already got appointments because when the world opened back up again, so during the year of the pandemic, it was easier to get that appointment that day. When the world opened back up again, on Mondays, you get phone calls from people saying, hey, I want to see a property, but I want to see it on Saturday.
Yeah.
So you would have a bunch of overlapping appointments. So you'd have to make friends with other agents in your office, and sometimes you'd have to work a client with them. So there goes your commission split because you're having to chip away.
Now you're splitting 50%.
Now you're splitting 50%. But it's funny. I want to lean on your venture capitalist story. So my very first Zillow Flex deal, I never met the client face to face.
Oh boy, yeah.
And it was a $1.7 million vacant land in San Juan Capistrano. He was a venture capitalist. And he was married, though. He was married, so it wasn't
He was
the
married,
first
still
date
impressing his date. No.
Yeah, he was married, and it was. He owns a lot of different companies, like out in like different states. But he was a venture capitalist. It was all cash. It was $1.7 million.
Wow. And he really was a venture capitalist.
The one day that I was supposed to meet them in person, they were supposed to come to my office, which was in Laguna Hills. He called me. He's like, his wife was visiting family in Utah, and it was like, although we've had a lot of rain lately, that year we had a lot of rain that one day, so his wife's flight got delayed. So I never got to meet them in person.
You still never met them.
Still met him.
I still keep in touch with them. I've never met with them in person.
Wow. That's awesome.
But I still keep in touch with them. I still send them things. I still reach out to them because the pandemic has caused everything to pause. They wanted to build their dream home.
Yeah.
And they felt that everything that they looked at was very cookie cutter, or it looked like a museum. They have like 5 adult children, and then their kids have kids, and so they have grandkids. So they wanted a big property where their family could come and stay with them for a few days and not have it feel like it's a museum, like where the kids can't touch anything.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So that goes to show, like, the ones that you think will close probably won't, and the ones that you think won't probably will.
But I will say this, Zillow does a really good job of vetting those buyers, way better than any other company does. So, when we keep referring to Gator, we're talking about my boyfriend, Eric Kaiser. So he gets online leads through Remax.com. And Gator doesn't deal with buyers. So
Gator don't deal with no buyers.
Gator don't deal with no buyers.
So he forwards me the Remax.com leads, and he says, here, please keep in touch with this buyer. It's always a fake phone number, and the emails, 50% of the time aren't good emails either. So I'm like, why did this person then even reach out to an agent to ask for information on a property? So but the Zillow ones, it's always a correct number and it's always a correct email address.
Fair enough.
So, and my first year, In Zillow, I closed 5 Zillow deals.
Fair enough.
That's awesome. See, you never know, so you still got to show them that house. I think that's really the lesson learned because your VC, your venture capitalist was real. Mine was clearly fake.
Mine was real.
Mine just put it on his Tinder profile, clearly. But so, to Lina, what's working in your business right now?
Right now, it's just really maintaining my relationships because, the business is slowed down, but we still have those relationships in place and just still, doing a lot of, meetings. I probably have a meeting almost every morning, sometimes 2, sometimes 3. Right after we finish up here, I have a phone call to a Berkshire Hathaway agent, and we have to go over the report with her buyers. So,
So you got business going on?
Yeah,
Business is good. It's continuing.
I maintain my level of service and care, and I just jump on it when someone needs me. So, yeah.
I was going to tell you, when I was an agent in Corona, I used to, if we had a listing in a certain part of Corona or Norco, I always looked at my NHD report because you had to look to see if it was too close to Wiley Labs.
Right, because all that environmental stuff. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. There's tanks underneath the ground, and sometimes those tanks leak, and they're governed by the government keeps tabs on them, and if they're not disposing of their chemicals properly, they get fined. So that's all in that report. But sometimes it's, they say there's some kind of toxic chemical and ends up being just a school because there's a science lab there and they do little experiments. So see, if anybody ever freaks out on your report, just call me. I know how to calm them down, get everyone relaxed, and it's in the way you present it.
Now, what's one thing in your job or in the report? What's one thing that you think people should actually look out for?
Okay, always look at the 6 mandated disclosures on page 1. That is the page that everybody's going to sign. Usually not the buyer's agent, but if there's a company policy, then the buyer's agent has to sign it as well. Just check all the boxes. Look at all the boxes that are checked yes. That means that's affecting that property. So, it depends on what's important to someone. I had someone that was buying a house in a landslide zone, and they were not comfortable with that.
No.
But landslide zones are everywhere. Oprah built a house on a landslide zone. Houses close to the water. Liquefaction and all of that.
Yeah.
It just depends on who you're dealing with. One thing I do want to say is never ever click on Megan's Law. That is in the report, but that's none of your business.
For real estate agents, you don't want to do that.
Why?
Yeah, you handle because it tells you there's a sex offender next door, and then now you know it, so you have to disclose
Now
it.
you have to disclose
Well,
it. So don't ask, don't tell.
Yeah.
Don't look, don't tell.
Well,
Yeah.
this is for our viewers, and we have to be very, very transparent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can tell so I used to own a brokerage, right? So I always used to talk to my, what is it called? Your risk management attorneys all the time. So as a real estate agent, you should not look at it because then you'll have to disclose that to your client.
Yeah.
But you can tell your client that they should look at it. But I will be honest with you, I don't know if you've ever gone on it, but your screen
Literally.
looks like it has freckles or measles
Yeah,
or whatever.
it
you
looks
call it.
like the whole neighborhood's got.
Yeah, and then when you look at
They're everywhere.
Yeah.
when you look at like why this person had to register, sometimes
It's
it's like people that had sex in their car.
Yeah.
Oh my
You know
God.
what I mean?
Or
they got caught.
Yeah.
And they had to register.
peeing in public, all that stuff. Yeah.
No,
Peeing in public, all that stuff.
you know what? It's
Real estate agent did that after a networking event.
Oh my God, that just happened to me recently. So I was showing homes to one of my buyers, and we found the home. We're like, this is it. We love this home. The place is beautiful. Like, let's do it. Now, literally across the street from that home was one more. It was like last on our list to go check out. We're like, we already love this home. Let's just go check this one out. It's right across the street. Let's go. Now, for whatever reason, the seller's agent wasn't answering, and I was like, let's just go knock. We'll see what happens. So I go knock. Some guy comes out. It's the renter, and he's like, yeah, we're moving out because the guy next to us is a registered sex offender. I'm like, why did I come to this house?
Tenant.
Why
Oh
did the
my
damn
God.
tenant have to ruin and no, yeah, and which is again, I'm glad that happened because now my clients, my friends with their kids aren't going to be across the street from a registered sex offender. But I mean, damn it, like you're just like, I should,
You never know when you're just one door down from Jeffrey Epstein. You never know.
or Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I started watching that last night.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, the first episode.
That is so good.
God, yeah.
That guy plays him so well. Tonight I'm a man of action.
No, he's like, what is it? Don't be weird. Or what is it?
Don't be weird.
I just want to watch TV. I just want to take some pictures.
Yeah, I'll just take some pictures.
Pretty good, huh?
I love, dude.
Bree's like, what the hell? Are you so good at it?
Oh God.
So,
Scary.
ladies, thank you so much for coming on with us today.
Amazing.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you
us.
for having us.
Great episode. Please tell the
Thank
people,
you.
where can we find you on social media?
Okay, well, you can find me at Lina King at MyNHD. Instagram is just Lina King. And my email is lina@mynhd.com. You can email me with a property address and a seller's last name, and I can order that report for you.
Yay! And on Instagram, I'm just Zulma, or I have a professional one now, Zulma Realtor.
Yeah.
All right.
And Zulma has like the best reposting as far as like the most hilarious memes ever.
Oh, yeah.
I
She's the
like,
meme
look
queen.
forward to your memes.
You're the meme queen.
I was telling somebody today that Lina was my meme buddy during the pandemic. We
Yes.
send each other memes every day.
I think we all needed those.
That's how we
We
stay
got through
alive.
that. Yeah, we laughed a lot.
Yeah, we did.
That's cool. Well, thank you. Thanks for
you.
making this show even better, and we can't wait to have you back again
Thank
soon.
you guys. You guys are awesome.
Oh,
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
All right.
We love y'all.
We love you. Hey.